everybody, welcome to the Mediocre Garden. I'm Nick, and this is a quick reminder that this is not a gardening channel about expert advice. This is me, just a mediocre gardener who's figuring it out as I go along and taking you along for the ride. Today we're in my kitchen, but we're not going to be doing any baking or cooking. I want to show you some of the things that I'm experimenting with planting in. So over the past month, I've been using a few different kinds of containers to germinate seeds in. And I'm finding some pros and some cons and making some decisions about how I want to actually move forward when I start planting the seeds that will go into my garden. Now, I'm a pretty frugal person most of the time. I try to be anyway, and I like to recycle items because I think that's very important in general. So I'm going to pull out a few items to the recycling bin to show you what I'm going to experiment using. I went through my recycling and I started looking for the things that people are suggesting that you can use. From some very typical things, of course, are strawberry or berry containers. They already have the holes in them. That's really nice, and I'll talk about that in a minute. They have the lid that you can close, the clamshell type, and I can cut this off so I can totally remove it. I like these a lot, particularly the strawberry ones because they're a little bit deeper, and I think I can probably keep things in there a lot longer. What I found was I wasn't going through enough of them, but I put out a quick little ad on my local Facebook free page, and lots of people said, oh, I'll save them for you if you like, and I picked up a few from people. So yeah, easy to find. Hard for us to recycle here in my particular area because we don't take a lot of plastics. This is a number 1 plastic, which we can't recycle right here in my local area. This is a great way to use them, in my opinion. So these, simple, everybody uses them. I then started saving anything that I thought might be useful. This one's quite shallow, but I think it could be good for something like lettuce indoors, something like that, just to get things started. It's actually a container that a roasted chicken came in. So I washed it really well, but it doesn't have any holes. So we're going to do a bit of an experiment with some of these plastic items that don't have drainage holes in the bottom, because I will show you the trouble I had when I tried to just poke them with a scissors or a screwdriver. It was kind of a mess, and then I had a brilliant idea. That's not really that brilliant, it's just I finally thought of it, to come to the stove, heat up an old screwdriver and see if that works better. So we're going to try that in just a couple minutes. Another thing I got was I went to our local dollar store, and for some of those items that I might not want to transplant out into the garden, or for some of the items that I want to keep in my kitchen, I thought, well, these are inexpensive plastic, neutral looking. I quite liked them. Very inexpensive. But I got them home and they don't have any drainage holes. So that's a problem. And we're going to try and solve it here at the stove. Everywhere on YouTube, you can see people planting winter sowing of their seeds in containers like this. So I'll be making these up, cutting them about 3/4 or 2/3 of the way up so that I can take it off, fill it, and then put the lid back on to create a greenhouse effect. Then I can leave these outside where they should grow really healthy, lovely plants. Everybody I'm seeing is growing really great plants in these. I sincerely hope I can too. I'm going to try anyway. I rarely buy annual flowers because I'm too busy trying to get the vegetable garden up that I just never get around to the annual flowers. I'm going to try to sow my flowers in these. So I won't be doing this for a little while, but I'm pretty excited about trying it. So I've got a clear one and I've got a milk jug. I have a couple big bags of milk jugs, so I'm going to try and get these ready long before I have to actually plant. But yeah, so there's these I'm going to try. This is a mushroom container. Again, no holes in the bottom, but we're going to try and fix that. Some, of course, pots that I've saved over the years of things I've bought. The good old-fashioned red Solo cup, good for other things too, but this time they'll be for plants. I'll have to put a few holes in the bottom of them as well. The egg cartons I usually recycle, but I've been saving them now to start some seeds in. I found they were really good to germinate, but I didn't love them a lot. They're quite shallow, so I had to move them out really pretty early on, and there's just not a lot of room for them to get good root development in here, so you have to move them when they're pretty young, which is okay, but that's a lot of work when I start thinking about everything I want to do for my garden. Probably won't be using much of these for the garden seeds. And then there's this. It's just this pressed cardboard. I think this one came in a package of something my husband bought. It's kind of an odd shape, but it's nice and deep and easy to bottom water. I'm using it right now for the lettuce that I'm growing to use indoors, or trying to grow to use indoors. And the lettuce is loving it. It stays nice and moist. So yeah, every time we get a cardboard box now, I'm quickly going in and checking if there's anything like this that I can use. Of course, this is your typical lettuce or spinach kind of container. These are great because, again, the lid comes right off, but again, no holes. So that's what we're going to try and solve. So the other day, I attempted to put some holes in the bottom of this. I don't know if you can see them. I've got some holes here. They're quite small. I started cracking it, so it was really, I was worried I was going to make a big crack in it. It was really hard to do. I'll insert some video of how frustrating it was for me. And now I was ready to think, well, this is stupid. I'm just going to go buy something, which I don't want to do. All right, I happen to have a gas stove, which I think will work well. I have a very old screwdriver. It's not very pretty. It's quite rusted. I don't feel bad if this gets wrecked. So we're going to heat up the screwdriver, carefully, of course. And instead of trying to desperately poke holes into the plastic, I'm going to try and just melt a hole in. Fingers crossed it works. Oh, that was slick. So nice. Oh my gosh, that's so much better. So much better. That is so much better. I don't know if you can see these. I've got some pieces that are like cracked, and I was worried. It's just not good. And the holes aren't very big. These are perfect. Yay! So much smarter. The other thing I found difficult is when I'm trying to cut off the top of these for my winter sewing containers, it's very thick plastic, you can hear, and trying to get it started with a pair of scissors or a knife, I was finding that a little bit dangerous, frankly. So using the same method, I started a hole and found it a lot easier. So now I've just got a hole in the center there. And it's a lot easier. I think that's an easy way to deal with it, especially with some of these very flimsier plastics that will break and splinter pretty easily. I found that so much easier than the first time I tried. As always, work smarter, not harder. These are some of the things that I'll be trying as I start seeding for the garden in the spring. Let me know in the comments below, what kind of recycled and reused items do you use to start your seeds? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.